Good morning, one and all, on this lovely Mother's Day. Ours be the poems of all tongues, all things of loveliness and worth, all arts, all ages, and all songs, one life, one beauty on the earth. May the light of truth illumine our minds. May the spark of love set our hearts on fire. May the flame of freedom and worship burn brightly within us and between us. Blessed be. Shalom. Pacem Om Shanti. Thank you. Our opening hymn is very appropriate for Mother's Day. Here we have gathered number 360. The author is a woman named Alicia Carpenter, one of my favorite hymns. Here we have gathered. May all who see us not know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give, we gain. Sing now in friendship, this our hearts. May we join together in the saying of our covenant. Number 471. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Blessed be.
The musical response is sung to the tune of Old Hundred, which I'm sure most of you have heard before. So sing those words to this tune.
Rejoice in love we know and share, in love and beauty everywhere. Rejoice in truth that makes us free, and in the good that yet shall be. Blessed be and welcome. Do we have any announcements anyone wishes to share?
The announcement as usual is regarding the Course in Miracles, which is every Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. On Zoom. We have our leaders right here, Richard Trudeau, ordained Unitarian minister and professor, retired by that in the history of astronomy. Al Lujo, former associate director of the Star Wars program at the radio administration. David R.N., Psych R.N., who was a commentator on Course in Miracles, and the Lawrence Drive, commentator on Course in Miracles. Our own Don, who is our coordinator, and keeps us all on track. You're welcome to this.
So good morning, everybody. I want to thank you again to Reverend Fewkes for being with us this morning, and to let people know that Lisa will be here. Lisa Kirk will be here next week. Nancy, however, will not. Just to let you know, David is going to do private visit for us. And we're starting our 6th Sunday countdown, 6 Sundays from today into beyond summer vacation. Just while you know, not to have to show up on whatever they put on here. We didn't meet on last Sunday together until September.
Okay. Are there any other joys and concerns? Let us now then turn to the responsive reading. Oh, Jim, sorry.
Actually, this would be a sort of a philosophical question, since we have a collection of ministers here. My question is it the proper thing to do to pray for a Celtics win this afternoon. It comes up fairly often.
We can always pray that God and Hitler hurt.
I'm sorry.
We can always pray that God and Hitler hurt beneficence would see fit to smile on the Boston area.
Well, I do kind of wish that the game would be well played and no one get hurt, but is it really the thing to trade one? We only have to win by 1 point.
Well said and well prayed. Okay, now would you turn to your responsive reading, which is the part of the affirmation in the front of the hymnal, and we've been saying it together at different times and places. The living tradition we share draws from many sources. Words and deeds of prophetic women and men, which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. Jewish and Christian teachings, which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. Spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with nature. As free congregations, we enter into this covenant. I invite you to enter into a spirit of prayer and meditation. Life and of love. May this be our prayer on this day and all days. To serve one another and all humanity to the best of our ability. To avoid the superficial, but to love the quest and all of its depths and heights and wonders. To be mindful of and vigilant against arrogance and selfishness. To laugh and to cry together, and to share our joys and sorrows with one another. To give thanks for the wonder of each new day. To forgive and seek forgiveness whenever we fall short. To make it known to those that we love all that our hearts feel. To gather all our strength so that each and every day we might add to the fullness, to the beauty, and to the joy of life and living. So might it be, and may it be. Blessed be. Amen. The reading comes from the thoughts of a British Unitarian minister named Cliff Reed, called "What is Your Religion?" And here's what he said. Now, if someone asked you, "What is your religion?" what would you say? I'm Christian because I try to follow God's rule of love as Jesus did. I am Buddhist because I reverence the Buddha's way of compassion to all beings. I am Hindu because I see the divine unity in a myriad of avatars. I am Jewish because the law still guides me, and the prophets still challenge me. I am Muslim because I bow before the one God, the beneficent, the merciful. I am Sikh because I heed the Guru's witness to the worth and the oneness of us all. And I am of other religions too, for the truth has many channels. The divine, oh, so many messengers. I am Unitarian because that way I can embrace the unity that I see in all. And I also am Universalist because I believe that the doorway to health, to healing, to salvation and wholeness is never closed. So count me, count us all, O Creator of us all, as children of your wondrous universe. Let us make that our true religion and our prayer this day and always. Blessed be. Amen. With joy we claim the growing light, number 345 from the hymn. 345. Stand as you are able. With joy we claim the growing light, advance soft and brightly through from the old unfold with wider view come loftier goal, with fuller light, more good to see. With freedom true, self-control, with knowledge reverence be. You seated? I once received a strange piece of mail from an organization I support. The content of the letter was not so strange. It was, the usual appeal for financial contributions to aid them in their organizational efforts to provide needed services to their constituency. What was strange about the letter was not its content, but its address. It was addressed to unknown Unitarian, P.O. Box 152, Norwell, Mass. Well, back then, it was addressed to unknown Unitarian, and we would add the Universalist to it. P.O. Box 152, Norwell, Mass. Well, that was my number, all right. But I thought I was better known than that. Perhaps they had lost my name from their contributors' files, but still had my address listed under Unitarian donors. And so they said, let's send it to unknown Unitarian and see if we get a response. Well, that got me to thinking. If someone accused you of being a Unitarian, Universalist, would you make yourself known? Would you own the title? Better yet, how would you know a Unitarian Universalist if you met one? Isn't that one of our problems? As you use we're somewhat of an unknown quantity to the rest of the world and culture. Unitarian Universalism, you might say, is one of the best kept secrets of the religious marketplace. What's that? Someone asks and wonders, or at least a few decades ago, wonders if we were Moonies, part of the so-called Unification Church. Remember the jokes about that? No, we'd have to explain. Unis are not Moonies. Although we have no objection to their living and having their own church as long as they don't try to take over ours. Will it someday be our fate that someone will lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown Unitarian Universalists? God help us, I hope not. The world, my friend, needs us. And we need to make ourselves known, or at least better known than we sometimes do. My late friend and colleague, Robbie Waltz, some of you may remember Robbie, formerly minister in Duxbury, and he reported that there was a story in the newspaper about a seminary professor in Kansas City who was put on trial by the Southern Baptists. He was accused of being a Universalist. And Robbie commented, he said, it's no wonder they were suspicious. He stated publicly his belief that all people born into the world are children of God. This is not Robbie, he's referring to this professor. And as if that were not enough, he also supported the ordination of women. Case closed. The professor denied the charges. I am not a Universalist, he said. And he convinced them. After 4 hours of deliberation, they voted 21-11 to let him keep his job. Well, friends, this being Mother's Day 2023, and this being a UU church, at least it was the last time I checked, we darn well better support the ordination of women, since they now outnumber us male clergy persons, which way back when I really talked about it, they didn't. Now they do. They outnumber. Watch out, guy ministers. The ladies are starting to get numerous. Now, Robbie then goes on to say, well, I confess to being a Universalist, he said. In fact, I am a Unitarian Universalist, but I wonder if I were arrested and charged with being one, would there be enough evidence to convict me? The Kansas City story proves that having the right beliefs is not enough. The professor, well, he believed that all people are brothers and sisters and that every person has a piece of the divine spark within them, and that women are the equals of men in the sight of God. Well, yeah, that was not enough to bring in a guilty verdict. No, friends, he goes on, they're going to have to pin Unitarian Universalism on me. They will have to be able to show, if they're going to do this, that I participated in and supported a Unitarian Universalist church organization. That's the only way to be sure. Beliefs, no matter how noble, must be embodied in a living institution, or they will have no convicting power. Hey, Robbie, you said it, buddy. A number of years ago, the UUA had a General Assembly in Charlotte, North Carolina. I know because I was there. And there were nearly 3,000 UUs registered for that conference. And we completely filled the 4 large downtown convention hotels, as well as a number of other establishments. The following incident occurred at the front desk of one of the main hotels. A woman who was obviously not a UU was attempting to get a room without having a reservation. And normally this would not have been a problem. But on this particular night, all the assistant manager could do was to inform the woman that not only did his hotel not have a room, but that the computer indicated there was no room available in the entire downtown area. He told the woman that all the rooms are taken by these uni-somethings who were holding a convention in Charlotte. She replied in a disgusted tone of voice that they are called Unitarian Universalists and they're getting to be an alarming number of them. Well, would that were true on a national, local, global, and current date scale. Well, friends, this is as good a time as any to ask the question, what are the distinguishing marks of being a Unitarian Universalist? Dr. Helen Gordon, speaking at a church fundraising dinner in Bakersfield, California, offered the following dozen suggestions, tongue-in-cheek, answering the question. 1, we are a very friendly people. If you aren't friendly too, out you go. 2, we are very genuine people, even if we do have an occasional phony in our midst. He or she is a real phony. 3, we don't pretend to know all the answers, and we're proud of our humility. We believe in tolerance. In fact, we can't stand intolerant people. We are non-competitive. In fact, we are more non-competitive than anybody. We believe in equality. Every one of us is as good as the next person and a whole lot better. Dogmatism is absolutely taboo. Freedom of belief is rigidly enforced. People who don't believe in anything are free to persuade others to the same point of view. 10, this list goes on, your church meetings are run very democratically because the moderator insists upon it. 11, of course, we have our critics, but they're just a few paranoid people who are out to get us. And 12, we can resist criticism. We can resist anything but temptation. Yeah, I like this lady. Dr. Helen Gordon. In fact, I'd go as far as to say she's a Gordon good person. And better than that, she's a you with a sense of humor. One of the signs, my friends, I contend, of a mature religion is its ability, our ability to laugh at ourselves, to have, as someone has said, a sense of humor about absolutes. It's a recognition, I suppose, that all things are relative, including absolutes and including the statement that all things are relative. A religion that can't laugh at itself will soon become stodgy, stuffy, self-righteous, and fanatical. If we can tell jokes about other religious traditions, but not about ourselves, then we are taking ourselves too seriously. And we need to clear the air with a good laugh at our puffed up estimate of who we think we are. And humor keeps us human and humble. And we need that in our lives and in our churches. Well, Unitarian Universalism, at least some of the time, tries to instill a sense of humor about absolutes, a sense of humor about itself. Not to scoff at holy things, but to free holy things from sanctimonious piety. I like Robert Frost's wonderful line, "Forgive, O Lord, my little jokes on thee, and I'll forgive thy great big one on me." Life is too serious to be taken too seriously. If we are, as sometimes characterized, God's frozen people, then a little bit of humor will help thaw us out. So that's one more requirement. You must laugh in church, but it must be holy laughter. WHOLL, holy laughter. So be assured that when you join and become part of a UU church or religious society, we take you seriously, but not too seriously. And we ask that you take us on the same terms. We know that whoever you are, no matter how much you may know, that you are finite, limited, and human. That you don't have all the answers to life's big questions, and neither do we. And that's why we need one another. All we have, you boil it down, are hints and guesses and the insights and the example of those who have struggled to articulate a faith in times past. Knowing this about ourselves, that we all live with uncertainties and ambiguities, it is good to laugh heartily in church once in a while. It reminds us that we are all in this mysterious business called living in life together, and that we should try to help one another make the best of it. So when you join a Unitarian Universalist church, or any church for that matter, you are making a symbolic statement about your relationship to the members of that particular congregation, similar to a covenant of marriage. You are saying, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, I accept these people as members of my extended spiritual family. And I will do my best to relate to them as lovingly, caringly, and honestly as I can. And I hope and expect that they will do the same with me. So, joining a church is getting very specific about the admonition to love your neighbor as yourself. It does not mean that you do not love and care for people who are members of other churches, or none. It doesn't even necessarily mean that your best friends are members of a UU church. It often works out that way. What it does mean is that you've made a covenant. You've made a covenant to make a special effort to relate to this particular group of human beings in a loving and caring way. To paraphrase a line from the New Testament, if you do not learn to care for those you have known and seen, how can you possibly care for those you have not known or seen? As with any family, so with this extended spiritual family, love is hard work. It requires a commitment of time and money to make it work. We do not always like or agree with the members of our personal families, but for the most part, we do manage to accept, tolerate, forgive, and attempt to understand one another in spite of our differences. And that's the way it is, or at least should be, in our UU extended spiritual family. When you join a particular UU church, it also means you acknowledge, however begrudgingly, that you are related to the Uni clan in other churches around the nation and the world. These too are my people, for better or worse, because no church exists in complete isolation from others, not even a free church. When you join a Unitarian Universalist church, say, in Chatham, Norwell, Fall River, or Podunk, Alaska, you don't join the whole entire UUA necessarily. You join a local church, not a denomination, but since your local church is affiliated with the UUA, the connection to a larger movement of liberal religious churches and fellowships is assumed and implied. If you ever have the opportunity to attend a UUA General Assembly, or say a district regional conference, you would have a much greater appreciation of the importance of our UU super extended family. And the UU a statement of principles and purposes, which we read earlier in the service, is an expression of our larger spiritual identity. And I understand it's coming under reflection and review at the coming General Assembly. There may be some changes being made. We don't know, but we ought to be interested and care about it. Now, sometimes the members of our super extended spiritual family do some nutty, crazy things that we would just as soon not have publicized in the media, like the time over 2 or 3 or more decades ago that one of our UU fellowships in Texas has been in the news lately, who had a female stripper perform at the Sunday morning service. It actually happened. For them, that was the bare necessities of religion. For us, it was barely religion, and a crude facsimile at best. But as with any family, you can always find weird cousins, distantly removed, or not so distantly removed, who say or do things that we would just as soon forget. When you join a UU church, you also inherit our religious family tree of heroes and heroines of the faith, along with some occasional skeletons in our closet. We lay claim to founding fathers like John Adams and Thomas Jefferson with some pride, but we don't like to mention Millard Fillmore too often, who signed the Fugitive Slave Act, which Universalist William Lloyd Garrison and others worked so mightily against. So we were on both sides of that issue at one time. We are justly proud of Emerson's transcendentalist philosophy, Clara Barton's founding of the Red Cross, and Susan B. Anthony's struggle for women's suffrage. But we don't make much of Fanny Farmer's cookbook. Boy, she was a good capitalist, that lady. Lydia Pinkham's tonic. There's a lot of stuff like that around. Or P.T. Barnum's circus. Bless his soul. Yet all are members of our Unitarian Universalist family tree. Take it or leave it. And the roots of our family tree go all the way back to the beginnings of our Judeo-Christian heritage, to Jesus and to the prophets, to Moses and to ancient biblical authors. Though some of us may not define ourselves, say, as UU Christian, there's no denying our historical roots and the fact that our rites and our ceremonies, our thought forms and ideologies derive from Judeo-Christian sources. We didn't fall out of a Buddhist bush or a Hindu tree. Now we might do, or at least partially that. Though we may appreciate and borrow from these great religious traditions for our own use and purposes, as Emerson and the New England Transcendentalists did, the hallmarks of our approach to religion are what Unitarian historian Earl Morse Wilbur called reason, freedom, and tolerance. The only time a Unitarian king ruled in Europe, in Transylvania, he issued an edict of religious tolerance, granting freedom of religion to Catholics, to Lutherans, to Calvinists, and yeah, even to Unitarians. The year was 1568. And this year marks the 455th anniversary of that important event in our UU history. We're still trying to put it into practice. To practice reason, freedom, and tolerance in a modern context means not only do we appreciate and tolerate other faith traditions beyond our own, but that within our own household of faith, we learn to appreciate and respect those among us who would define themselves as you Christians, you Jews, pagans, humanists, theists, atheists, pantheists, or some other ist, as well as those who would declare or claim a differently oriented sexual or gender identity, along with those who don't know who or what they believe or how to define themselves, and for whom a label does not exist other than human being. Please do not bend, spindle, or mutilate. To join a UU church or institution means you must be willing to accept and embrace pluralism and diversity, a unity that embraces and affirms differences and celebrates them. And because of this, we cannot meet the religious and spiritual needs of everyone all of the time. The best we can do is try to meet the spiritual needs of most of our membership most of the time. And those who want or insist on more will probably go elsewhere, but hey, we'll miss them. The truth of the matter is you have to take some responsibility for nurturing and developing your own spiritual life beyond what happens here, Fall River, on a Sunday morning. Only you can grow a faith which is meaningful for you. As Walt Whitman once said, no one can grow for another, not one. What we can offer are some tools and examples and encouragement and support for walking the spiritual path. You don't have to walk alone, at least not all of the time. You can walk with others and you can share, but no one can do the walking for you. So friends, walk with us and talk with us and help us all to walk our talk. Above all, if you hear someone in a hotel lobby or elsewhere talking about uni-somethings or uni-unis, you might have the presence of mind to say, that's what I am, a Unitarian Universalist. And you can show them a copy of the UUA Statement of Principles and Purposes while we still have it. Finally, if someone accuses you of being a Unitarian Universalist, make the charge stick. Let them know you actually belong to a UU church and invite them to attend some Sunday. After all, why keep it a secret? It's time to make the unknown Unitarian Universalist a better known quantity. And if we don't do it, who will? The you and you is you and you and you and you. And all of us together creating here in this free family of faith and making it real and true in our personal and in our collective lives. With God's help, so may it be. Blessed be. Have a happy and blessed Mother's Day. The offering for the work of this congregation will now be accepted. And now may the truth that makes us free, the hope that never dies, and the love that casts out fear lead us forward together until the day spring breaks and the shadows flee away. Blessed be.
We're gonna do 287 now.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the closing here.
Oh, sorry, okay. What's the number?
287. Grateful for the religious pluralism which enriches and ennobles our faith,
We are inspired to deepen our understanding and expand our vision. As free congregations, we enter into this covenant, promising one another our mutual trust and support. Amen.
So there's a story behind the story. There's the post moon. A couple of weeks ago, Susan talked about her mother singing this song. And they researched what it was, and I went online and found it. And so this is Susan's mom's song, which is called Come to the Fair. And it was written music by East Coast Martin and words by Holland Taylor. It was published in 1917. So here is Come to the Fair for Susan's mom.